Want to bring on Eduardo Bolsonaro. Eduardo, everybody in the War and Posse and the MAGA movement is very focused on this show trial your father's going through. We understand he's had major surgery for the assassination attempt on him when he first ran. Can you get us up to date? And then I want to talk about some polling that shows that once again he's far ahead of Lula, and this is why the deep states got this trial going on. First off, how's your father doing given these serious operations he's had to have?
Thank you for asking, Steve. He's doing good. He's recovering. But this last surgery, it was the 7th surgery that he got after the stabbing, assassination attempt in 2018, made by a former member of the Socialism and Liberty Party. Is the name of a party, far like a radical left-wing party here in Brazil. Is the kind of the politicians that usually when they go to U.S., they have contact and are very welcoming by Senator Bernie Sanders, AOC, and this kind of people that you know very well in the United States. So, but the 7th surgery of my father, it was the most invasive one. It took a little bit more than 12 hours of surgery. And so it takes time to recover. My father now, he's 17 years old, but thanks God, healthily, he's doing great. The doctors are saying that he's doing very well, mainly because he does not drink, he does not smoke. By major part of his life, he was like an athlete in the militaries. So he's doing good. Like I think in 1 month he's going to be back again in the field because he's really hard working, and it's a punishment to him let him in the hospital.
So how does this play into the trial? What actually happens with this trial? In abeyance, do they just keep going? Because the system you have there is quite different than our system. We followed President Trump every day when he's being tortured with lawfare. Your system's a little different. Is it held in abeyance while he's recovering from the surgeries? Do they pick up again later on? Are they going to hold it in abeyance for 6 months or so? What's the current status?
So actually, the electoral court decided that he cannot run until 2030 because two things, not because corruption or any kind of criminal serious crime. It's because he met 40 ambassadors when he was sitting president in 2021, and he criticized the electoral process of Brazil. So as you can imagine, it's pretty much the same reason of the mugshot of Trump back there in Georgia last year. So this, for the same reason, my father is labeled as an anti-democratic politician. And the other thing that made the electoral court decide that he cannot run until 2030 is because he made a speech in a truck, with using a microphone after the military parade of our Independence Day. He was even using none of public money. It was all private in this event. People didn't go to the capital of Brazil to be there with him, waiting for his speech. So basically, there is no reason to make Jair Bolsonaro do not run in the next year election. What is happening in Brazil is pretty much what just happened in Venezuela with Maria Corina Machado. As they learned with Nicaragua that if they arrest the left-wing opponents, it's very bad for the image of the president, and likely the international community will say that he's a dictator, like Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua. He's not a president, he's a dictator, like Nicolás Maduro. So the new strategy of the left is decide, say, go to the lawfare and bring the courts where they appoint the major part of the judges, and in these courts where they control, they can decide that as a punishment for any reason that the main oppositors of the left wing, they cannot run. Look for Marine Le Pen in France, look for Maria Corina Machado, and some other countries all around the world, like US. So in Brazil, we are suffering with the same virus that was exported from United States. And in Brazil, they learned that they cannot wait until the elections, that in Brazil it will happen in October of 2026, to then give the opportunity for the right-wing candidates to run and win the election, just like happened with President Trump. So in Brazil, they are trying to speed it up as much as possible to do not permit Bolsonaro to run on the next year. And as the electoral court decisions is so weak, they believe that Bolsonaro can overturn this decision, the electoral court, mainly because in the next year there will be new judges in the electoral court. So Bolsonaro has a real chance to overturn this non-eligible thing that made him to do not run until the year 2030. And they are trying to convict Bolsonaro for an attempted coup d'etat in the Supreme Court. That's why they are speeding up as much as possible. They were working everybody together, the Attorney General and the Supreme Court, in January during the vacation time in Brazil, trying to make possible to convict Jair Bolsonaro for attempted coup d'etat still this year in 2025. That's why it's so important that Mr. President Donald Trump to penetration the situation of Brazil and do not let it happen. United States, we know that you do not interfere in other country, but it's a tradition of the United States export freedom, not export censorship, just like Biden administration was doing. If you take a look, Bannon, 1 year before of our election in 2022, who did come to Brazil? Mr. Burns from CIA, Jake Sullivan, and some other high-level authorities that did come to Brazil, basically to say to all Bolsonaro administration authorities to do not contest the results of the elections of 2022. So we expect that the United States can be back again in the world field, in the world scenario, exporting freedom and liberty. It's not fair you recognize as a president in an election where the opposition cannot run and cannot say whatever they want.
Okay, you've got President Bolsonaro is up in the polls. You've had this outrageous decision that tries to bump him out to 2030, and they would hope he'd be forgotten about. You had Jake Sullivan and clearly the Biden regime's hand all over this early on. What specific action? Is it OFAC? Is it going after the Supreme Court and that radical judge? Is it going after Lula's government? What if you can, because our audience can get in back of specific actions you give us. We fully support Bolsonaro. The audience loves your family, your father, what you guys have stood up for in Brazil, your movement down there. But specifically, what would you like to see President Trump and or the folks on Capitol Hill in the Senate and the House do, Eduardo?
OFAC sanctions through the Magnitsky Global Act, because who is leading the lawfare in Brazil, 95% is the justice of the Supreme Court, Alexandre de Moraes. It's the same crazy justice who is fighting against Elon Musk, who detained Mr. Jason Miller in 2021 after the CPAC in Brazil. So if Trump sanctioned Alexandre de Moraes, we can have a hope to get back our democracy in Brazil. And United States administration, you have a bench of arguments to do that. For example, Alexandre de Moraes was suing, doing a prison arrest guarantee against an American citizen that was because she was tweeting from the U.S. territory. So he was sending her, if he has the chance, because nowadays she's in the United States, but if this lady, if she comes to Brazil, he will arrest her because tweeting. So basically, Alexandre de Moraes is invading the jurisdiction of the United States. He was also saying that Rumble and Truth Social can come to Brazil, explore the social media platform business, but with some conditions. If they censor people like Alan dos Santos, a Brazilian refugee that is living nowadays in the United States, if they do not let certain American companies to work in Rumble in Brazil. So basically what he's doing is he is invading the jurisdiction of the United States. And this is the same reason that made Trump sanction Karim Khan, which is the DA, the prosecutor of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, and all of his team of investigators who they were trying to arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So Karim Khan and all of his investigators team, they got sanctioned because they were invading the jurisdiction of United States. So as Alexandre de Moraes is doing the same thing, I really think that Trump, he can do that. He has a legitimate argument to do that. And I hope that he'll do that. And when he does that, we are going to have new freedom winds in Brazil, because the scenario nowadays is Jair Bolsonaro is already the next president of Brazil. It's just a matter of he can run or not in the next year's election. That's why we are exposing all of that. That's why I thank you, Steve, to have the opportunity to talk with your audience about that. Because Bolsonaro is leading the polls, the major polls, out of the error margin. And the thing is, the prognostic for the following months and for the next year is that the economy in Brazil is going to do really bad. Because as you can imagine, a socialist, a radical left wing like Lula da Silva, a very dangerous communist on the head of the Foro de São Paulo, he's doing very bad things in the economy. He's increasing all the taxes as much as he can. He's trying to make up the numbers. But at the end of the day, when people go to the market, they go to get full gas for the car, everybody realize how much more expensive are everything on our life. So with the economy going down, probably Bolsonaro is going more and more up. So next year, we have to fight for that. Not only for Bolsonaro. This is not a personal thing. This is to rescue our democracy, is to rescue our liberty here in Brazil.
Brazil, great country, great people. President Bolsonaro, a great leader of a movement, and has put his life on the line. And we hope he comes through all these surgeries and the recovery, and he's got to be on the ballot next year. We're going to make sure we're all over it. OFAC. Eduardo, social media, how do people follow you? Because our audience wants to stay on top of this on a daily basis. We have a lot of your colleagues come on here. We're so honored to have you on. But the audience, the War and Posse, wants to stay on top of this. Where do they follow you?
On social media, I am Bolsonaro SP. Bolsonaro, in the end, Sierra Papa. So you can find me and on Next and Truth Social. I'm usually tweeting, posting, and in English. So the American audience can follow me, and some videos on YouTube in English too as well, because I'm trying to expose the maximum, as much as I can, to explain to the Americans what is going on in Brazil and to prevent you to this virus do not go back again in the United States. Because if nowadays this crazy justice from the Supreme Court, Alexandre de Moraes, he's even putting Mr. Elon Musk under investigation here, there in Brazil, for sure. After 4 years, when Trump administration ends, they have the hope that someone like Kamala Harris or any other radical left wing can be elected, and they can work together going after Elon Musk, Trump, and all of the Trump administration, as you saw during the previous Biden administration. So we need to rescue Brazil. We need to get back our democracy. We need to avoid China dominance in Brazil. This is other issue that is very sensitive. I don't think that President Trump will let it happen. And with Bolsonaro, for sure, all you Americans, you are sure that you have a very good friend here, there in Brazil. I mean, because I'm talking here from the United States. Thank you very much, Steve.
No, we know your courage of you and your family, your father, is amazing. Eduardo, we love you guys. We'll have your back. We'll be all over this, pushing OFAC up on the hill. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Incredible bravery. Their lives are on the line down there. That's how demonic this is. John Lott joins me. John, first off, you've come up with a theory years ago and backed it up with data. Tell me how Brazil became safer under President Bolsonaro, and why does one of the main reasons the radical Marxist left, Lula's administration, and these judges hate Bolsonaro and hate the Bolsonaro movement, sir?
Bolsonaro revolutionized the rules for people being able to go and have guns. Private gun ownership increased by something like 650% during his administration. And when he started to propose those things when he was first running and then when he got into office, the media worldwide was saying, look, Brazil already has one of the highest murder rates in the world. This is going to be catastrophic. Murder rates are going to soar if you allow people to go and have guns. And yet the murder rate fell by a third in the 4 years that Bolsonaro was there, the exact opposite of what all these predictions were making there, because he realized that, look, police are important, but they can't be there all the time for people to be able to go and protect themselves. In high crime rate urban areas, he allowed people to be able to go and carry concealed handguns for protection. It had a major impact on the risks that criminals were willing to take in order to go and commit crime.